is Knotfest 2022, and I'm so glad to be sat here with you because you've rushed in, you've made time to come and join us here on stage at Knotfest. How does it feel to be playing at the first ever Knotfest Finland?
It's fucking incredible and amazing, and I'm so happy and pleased to be here. It's like all the members of our band have been listening to Slipknot when we were growing up. So
really?
This is all of us. So this is kind of a big deal to be here.
No, of course. I mean, everybody here, I've seen so many Slipknot t-shirts out there. One of some of your t-shirts out there as well. And for anyone watching this right now who maybe doesn't know the scene over here as well, tell us a bit about your band.
Okay, so the name of the band is really difficult for the Finnish people because it's an ugly word. Huora means whore.
Yes.
It's not easy to say. So So
is it something that would be quite offensive here in Finland? Because obviously, like, we say goat whore, for example, that band, that's something people just say. I mean, when you start going to the anal cunt territory, that's when people are like, Is it that level of swearing here in Finland?
It's really bad. It's really bad. Like many of the reporters or like people that interviews me, they're like, what? They're whispering the name of the band during the interview. Yeah. So it's really bad. Like all of my friends that are working in the music business in Finland said to me like, you're never gonna be on any shows. No one's gonna play you on the radio. That the name is such a terrible name. You're never gonna be in any place.
Sitting here.
And we did it.
So tell me, why did you pick that name?
We kind of didn't. The father of our guitar player is this like old-time, really legitimate musician in Finland, like big-time legit musician.
Okay.
And he was having a conversation with his son like, there should be a punk band in Finland called Huora. There never has been a punk band in Finland called Huora. And the sentence like ended up living in the guitar player's head.
Wow.
And that's why we're called Huora, because of his father. We didn't come up with the name like, let's have this kind of name for the band. But we respect him and we love the conversation so much. So we did what he said.
Yeah, and that is so punk to have a name that makes people uncomfortable and makes them. So you're playing punk music. That's your vibe. If you're a fan of punk, do go check out the band. You actually released an album, and the album and the single title was Don't Give Up, your recent album. And I thought that's a really interesting sentiment. What's the meaning behind that?
Like all of the songs, they come like, they come up from the life that I have been living or the life that I have been watching. And the past years have been pretty much about giving up or not giving up. So when we released the album and the time when we were making the album, it was really important to have faith in like humanity, in the world, everything and anything around you. So that's why we came up with the name. The other names for the albums are like Drown in Shit and Revenge Will Live. So all the other names are full of resentment, but this has like a little bit of hope in it.
How did you find it as a band during lockdown? Because some bands seem to grow and grow and grow, whereas some bands were kind of lost and didn't know what to do.
We had kind of a whorish luck that we have had, that we were touring for a few years in a row, and we just started our touring break at the end of 2019. So when the lockdown came, it was on the time of our break. So it didn't affect us on the first year, but the second year it was like, then it made like, put the little sticks on our wheels. So it wasn't easy, but we made like candy out of the shit.
Yeah.
We rehearsed, we made new songs, we made the album, we just stick with it, and now we're picking up the fruits.
Nice. That's what I like to see. Don't give up. That's what ends up happening. Picking the fruits now. So we want to get to know you a little bit more. What is a hobby that you have that people wouldn't expect to be your hobby?
I love that question. Now I'm thinking, what should I tell about myself?
Are you like, I'm
a weirdo. I'm a weirdo. I'm gonna pick up one thing. Okay. So people maybe don't know that I love classical music, and I listen to classical music every morning when I write my journal before I start reading my morning books. So that's my hobby, like listening to classical music. And everything, dancing by myself or just doing weird stuff by myself. I'm pretty happy, like, just by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's weird for someone, but...
No, that makes total sense. And especially listening to classical, because, like, Mozart was the original punk, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was a fucking punk.
He had a song, I can't remember the translation, but it was something like "Shove It Up Your Ass."
Yeah. And those are the real, like, they have been suffering and they have been supporting, like, human rights. Tchaikovsky was a gay man in Russia in the 18th century. Think about that. He tried to kill himself many times because he couldn't live as he wanted to in Russia.
Wow.
Still people can't. But, like, the classical music people, they got it big time. They got it, like, rough. We punks, we have, like, the road has already been settled for us when we came.
See, I didn't even know that. And it's interesting because do you find that as a band it's really important for you to speak out on topics like that and take a stand in things like equality, like you're saying, the things that Tchaikovsky struggled with?
Well, I couldn't live. It doesn't matter if I had a band or not, but I couldn't live without being involved in politics. That's something that, like, it runs in my veins. I have to speak up. I have to do activism. I have to, like, do anything that I can, like, write petitions or do whatever. Like, I'm really, really, really active on it, and I'm capable of doing it. And that's because that's also, like, it's my privilege at the time, and also my, like, burden, because I can't be without doing it, and I couldn't live without not doing it, because I can. I have a voice and I have an audience and I have a place to do it, so I will do it till I die.
I bet you find as well that ends up, the band's crowd end up being more diverse, and you hear stories from all sorts of different people, because I love that. When people speak out, you end up with so much diversity listening there. Have you found that with your band?
Yes.
So it's just a welcome place for everybody to come.
Yes, indeed.
And that ties into Knotfest, because that's what Knotfest is all about building community. So that's great. I also want to ask you about the album that got you into heavy music. Because I think we all have that turning point, don't we? When we're like, ooh, this is heavy, but I like this.
I was very, very blessed to live with two older brothers, and the oldest big brother that I have taught me punk, and the younger big brother that I have taught me rock. So
wow.
I didn't have to do anything. I was just living in my home, and all this beautiful music came to my ears. But, like, the first band that I found myself was Queen, and it's still one of my favorite bands, but it's not heavy.
I mean, it is.
But in the terms that we're talking in Knotfest, like, wow.
Well, maybe not for Knotfest. But when you're young and you've been listening to pop music, and then all of a sudden you're hearing Beelzebub, how's everyone in? It's like, for me.
Yeah, well, that's heavy for an 8-year-old girl.
Exactly. No, that was a big influence for me as well, so I totally understand that. So, what have you got coming up as a band that people can watch out for? Have you got any tours coming up? Any more music coming? Any more plans?
There's lots of interesting things actually happening at the moment, because we just decided last weekend, we had a conversation with the boys. They have been, like, composing some new songs, and I have been writing some new lyrics, so it's either gonna be a single, an EP, or an album. You'll see. But something's cooking. Yeah, there's we're gonna keep doing what we've been doing all the time. What we want, when we want, and when it happens.
Brilliant. That's the punk ethos. Right there. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us here at Knotfest, and have an amazing set. Everybody, make sure you're there. Remind me how... Huora.
Huora.
Huora. There we go.